everyone, it's Jordan. Today I'll be talking about popular books that are worth the hype to me. So I've been seeing these videos roaming around on BookTube lately, and I thought I did a video like this previously on my channel, but I don't think I ever have, which is weird to me. But I know there's some popular books that were worth it to me, and there's some popular books that weren't worth the hype to me, but I have 10 books to talk about that I believe are worth the hype in my opinion. So let's get to the books that are popular books that are worth the hype to me. So the first book that is worth the hype to me is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gahn, and the duology is worth the hype to me. And if you haven't read the first book, which is These Violent Delights, it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling that takes place in Shanghai in the 1920s in Shanghai, and that's basically the synopsis of it. I love this duology so much. I honestly cried when I read These Violent Ends, or Our Violent Ends. I think that's what the last book's called. And I know I've read Foul Lady Fortune by the same author, and I enjoyed it as well. And I just think it's really worth the hype if you like a lot of fairy tale or Shakespeare retellings, but just takes place at a different location or time period. And I just think this was really worth the hype to me, and I've been wanting to read more Chloe Gahn books ever since this book, so yeah, I think it's really worth the hype to me. And the next book that is worth the hype to me is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is about a band that came together in the 1970s, and then somehow the band broke up, and this whole book is told in interview form. I think it's worth the hype to me. I think I read this like a year after it came out, and I still think it was worth the hype in my opinion. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. I know I've read her other books, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is worth the hype to me, and Malibu Rising, but this is my favorite, still my favorite from Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's the first book that I've read by her, and I've been wanting to read more books by this author, so yeah, I know this is worth the hype to me, especially when the TV show came out last year, and I loved it, so yeah, I still think it's worth the hype to me, and it's still my favorite from Taylor Jenkins Reid. And the next book that is worth the hype to me is Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. And she's a very popular author, so of course, she's one of my favorite authors. That's why I think this book is worth the hype. But you haven't read this book. It's about a woman who's a ghostwriter, and she was looking for a writing job, and then she met this editor, and then somehow he ends up dead, and she was the only one who could see him, and it's just so funny. I read this book within a day. I just love this so much. I know I still need to read her other adult romance book, The 7-Year Slip, and I know the one, it's called a novel, Love Stories, coming out this year. I know I need to read that, but this is definitely one of my favorites from this author, and she's one of my favorite authors. I think she's worth the hype, and I have seen many people talk about it, either like it or not like it, but for me it was worth the hype just because she's one of my favorite authors. And the next book that I think is the popular book that is worth the hype to me is Serpent and Dove series by Shelby Mahern. I know I haven't finished the series yet, but I still think it's worth the hype. If you haven't read the first book is about a witch and a witch hunter end up married in an arranged marriage, but he doesn't know that his new wife is a witch. So that's the whole synopsis of this book, and I love this series so much. I know I still need to read the last book, and I love the characters, I love the world, and I'm just really gets me all hyped up to finish this trilogy. And I know she has a new book that just came out last year, The Scarlet Veil. It's like right there on my shelves. It's supposed to take place in the same world as Serpent and Dove from what I've heard, but with vampires from what I've heard. But I still think this is definitely worth the hype to me if you really like enemies to lovers romance. And the next book that I think is worth the hype to me is The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue by Vicky Schwab. If you haven't read this book's about a girl who was about to marry a guy, but she doesn't want to marry him. She wants to live the life that she wanted, so she made a deal with a devil kind of creature that she would live forever, but every person that she meets will forget who she is. And then a few centuries later, she ends up meeting a guy who actually remembers who she is, and that's the whole synopsis of this book. And I love this book so much. This is one of the only books that made me cry, and I rarely cry when I read books. I like feel like crying, but I never have the tears coming out of my eyes. But I love this book so much. This is my favorite from V. Schwab. I know I like her other books, but this is my favorite. So, and I know this is still worth the hype in my opinion. And the next book that I think is worth the hype is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is a very popular adult romance series, and this is the first book of the series. Obviously, it's about a woman who is dealing with a lot of her chronic illness, but she doesn't want to let that affect her, so she makes a list that she wants to do just to get a life, and then she meets some motorcyclists to help her out with that. And I really love this book. I know I can't wait to read the other books in the series because it follows each of the sisters, and I just can't wait for that. I love Chloe, I love Red, I love their relationship, and it just puts a smile on my face whenever I think about those two, and I think it's really worth the read if you're really looking for a disability representation and this, or mental health representation in books, or just a romance that has a lot of achieving goals kind of book. And the next book that I think is worth the hype is Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is about a girl who wants to do her senior project on a case that was kind of solved, but she wants to prove that what was it? I'm trying to remember. That's someone from that the boyfriend wasn't the murderer of the case. Yeah, and it's been a while since I've read this, so I forgot for a second there, but I know I really enjoyed this book. I know I gotta read the rest of the series, and I know that I just really I just couldn't put this down when I first read this, and I love a lot of murder mystery books, especially for whether it's an adult or YA, and I just couldn't put it down, and I think it's worth the hype, especially when it's a big page turner, in my opinion. So the next two books that I think is worth the hype, in my opinion, is Beach Read and People We Met on Vacation by Emily Henry. I just couldn't pick between these two because I know Emily Henry is one of the popular authors right now, especially in an adult romance era. But even though I still recommend Beach Read because it's my favorite so far from read these two. But I don't think you need to read Beach Read to read her other books. I think you can start with any of her adult romance books to get started. But I still think these two are worth the hype, even though Beach Read is my favorite out of these two so far that I've read. But yeah, I still think they're worth the hype because how popular this author is, and if you're really looking into adult romances, I think one of these two would be a good start if you want to try this author out. So the next two books that I'm recommending in this video is Beach Read and People We Met on Vacation by Emily Henry. I think these two are really worth the hype, but I should probably tell you guys what each of the book is about. This was about two authors who one's writing literary fiction, one writes romance, and they're in a big writer's block, and they decided to get out of writer's block. They decided to switch the genres that they usually write to get out of writer's block, and then they somehow form, and that's how the synopsis go. And this is my favorite from Emily Henry, so I do recommend this a lot. But I also enjoy People We Met on Vacation, which is a friends to lovers kind of book. They go on vacation together every year, but then somehow there was a big years gap between each trip, and then they decided to go on a trip after not going on a trip together for so long. But yeah, these two are definitely worth the hype to me, even though Beach Read is my favorite out of the two, but I still like Emily Henry's writing, and I do want to read more books from her. I still haven't read Book Lovers, is that what it's called? I'm checking my other stuff. Yeah, Book Lovers, and I know Happy Place just came out, and I know she has another one that just came out this year. So yeah, for a popular author, I think she's really worth the hype. And the last book that I think is worth the hype, in my opinion, is The Love Hypothesis by Ellie Hazelwood. This is a book about a scientist who just keeps getting teased by her friend that she's not dating and and then she decided to randomly kiss a guy and ask him to be her fake boyfriend just to prove to her friend that she has a boyfriend. And I really love the Love Hypothesis, even though I didn't like the second one, which is Love on the Brain, but I still love the Love Hypothesis, even though some people describe this as a Reylo fan fiction, which I'm not a fan of. The Kylo Ren and Rey relationship, that's just my opinion, but I did not, for someone who's not a Reylo fan, I end up enjoying this one, so I'm just really glad that I read this. I know I still need to read, what is that book called? Love Theoretically, so yeah, I know that I'm so behind on sequels, but I still really like this book, even though I'm not a big science person. Science is my least favorite subject, but it's still a really cute story if you really like a big fan of science, or just a romance that reminds you of a specific shipping two characters. But yeah, I think this is definitely worth the read. So that's all for the popular books I think is worth the hype. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and comment down below what popular books you think is worth the hype, because I would like to know. And if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. Also, you can follow me on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, which all links will be down below for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!